welcome to the class. Welcome. Let's get ourselves moving. So I have just been discussing with my Zoomers here that whilst I know who's in front of me in Zoom, I don't know who's in front of me on Facebook. If you want to pop up with your little messages to let me know you're watching, that'd be marvellous, because most of you I know, which means I do know your bodies, if you've been in class with me previously, which is all rather marvellous, and I can tailor the class based on who's in front of me. Hello, Anna. If you are new to the class, and if you've not done class with me before, just to put it out there, it's worth remembering that your body's different to everybody else's body, and you need to make sure you do the class that's right for you, not feel as though you have to do the options, all the options that I put out there. So finding the right one for you. Good morning, Anna. Yay. So let's get ourselves moving, and we'll allow ourselves to find a level that's right for our bodies, and bearing in mind that although I do know your bodies, and I try to challenge you within the realms of you and your body, you know your body better than me, and you know how it's feeling today. So if you think, oh, that doesn't feel quite right today, then do pull back. And obviously, those of you that have done classes with me previously, if you think, she's on a bit of a go slow today, I'm going to go for the more advanced option, you can just go straight ready for your advanced option if you know what it is. So let's get ourselves moving from there. Allowing those feet to just come underneath the hips will allow the toes to point forwards. Comfortable enough to allow the eyes to close, and we'll just allow the breath to come and go nice and gently. Breathe nice and deeply. Us to really zone in on our rib cage. Sense of expansion into the ribs. Breathe deeply into the ribs. Let's see if we can allow ourselves to try to breathe into the back of the rib cage. So if you imagine that I'm placing my hands on the back of your rib cage, I want you to breathe wide and full into my hands. And we'll allow that breath to flow deep into the pelvis. Breath to just descend down that little bit lower. That sense of breathing deep and full. Let's see if we can allow those hip flexors, that place between the pelvis and the thighs, to just become soft. So we're not gripping, we've just got that sense of softness there. And a sense that the knees are nice and soft. Over the front of our feet. A little bit of weight into the back of the feet. Forwards, over the front of the foot, and back into the back of the foot. And we'll find that place where our weight's right in the centre of the 2 feet. And then let's take a moment to just gently think about the arches of the feet. So right on the inside of the foot, we're going to see if we can just give those muscles on the inner arch a little bit of a wake up, a little bit of connection, drawing gently up and softening gently down. Again, we gently lift on up and softening down. Taking 2 more like that. Lift on up, softening down. Or just the arches of the feet, pulling up to the inside, almost the inside of the leg. Now with that little sense of connection through the arches of the feet, we'll just find a little bit of softness into the knees. Awareness into the pelvis. So imagine in the pelvis like a bucket of water filled to the top. We'll gently tip a little bit of water out of the front of the bucket And we'll gently tip a little bit of water out of the back of the bucket. That range of movement. Now, just being aware that for some of us, as we take that little action through the pelvis, there might be a little feeling in the lower back. Register that, just notice it. That place where it feels as though the pelvis is nice and level, the tailbone is descending down towards the space between the heels, and we can allow ourselves to grow really nice and tall through the spine. So let's imagine the head is a helium-filled balloon floating up towards the space above us. We'll allow ourselves to lift the shoulders and roll the shoulders gently back and down. And let's do that a few times. Rolling the shoulders, lifting up and softening back and down. Let's do that a few more times. Shoulders sink a little towards one another and then sink down towards the tailbone. And then I just want you to take a moment to let your head push forward, so your face pushes forwards, and then we'll allow the chin to pull back. And let's do that 2 more times. We'll push the face forwards and then draw back, feeling that the back of the skull is pulling backwards. And just 1 more. And then feeling as though you can find that place where it feels as though the back of the neck is trying to be as long as it can be. Take a nice deep breath for me from there, and we're going to think about connecting in through our deep abdominal muscles. So let's take a moment to take a deep breath in. As we breathe out, we'll draw the belly button in as if we're tightening up a belt. And once we've got that belt tightened, let's still allow ourselves to breathe wide and full into the rib cage. Nice deep breath. Let's allow the right arm to float forwards and up. As the arm floats back down, as you do change over to the other arm, opposite arm floats upwards. Lovely. And again, changing sides. And let the arms release back down by our sides. We'll take a nice deep breath. We'll allow the right ear to dip down towards the right shoulder. And taking a breath, let the head lift up and over to the opposite side. Lovely. And once again on each side. As we do that, let's keep that connection in through the belly button. Hold it for me in the centre there. We'll look round as if we're looking over our right shoulder. And coming back to the centre, rotating the neck round. Each side. The centre, let's tuck the chin towards the chest. We'll just take a moment to breathe gently there, and then we'll allow ourselves to roll gently down through the spine. Deep breath at the bottom. And then we'll breathe out as we roll up through the spine, dropping the tailbone and rolling up through the vertebrae. When we get to the top, let's lift those shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, and both arms float forwards and up. In as the arms float back down, and again releasing through the top of the head, rolling down through the spine. Breath at the bottom, and then breathing out as we roll up through the spine. Shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, both arms float forwards and up. Breathe in as we float the arms back down. Take a little bend of the knees, and we'll just bend the knees without letting ourselves tip forwards through the hips, lovely, and then lengthening the legs. Once again, releasing through the top of the head, rolling down through the spine. Breath at the bottom, and then breathing out as we roll up through the spine. Head comes on top, we lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders gently back and down. Both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. Take that little bend of the knees, keep the hips nice and still, and if you want to, let the arms open out to the side. Lovely, and lengthening the legs. Let's take a little side bend from there, up and over to the right side. Breathing in as we come through the centre, up and over to the opposite side. Through the centre, once again on each side. That's it, lovely. Open this through the shoulders, beautiful, that's it, keep it going for me guys, that looks gorgeous. And releasing through the top of the head, rolling down through the spine. With the breath, and as we breathe out, rolling up through the spine. Head comes on top, last thing of all, we lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down, lovely. Taking that bend of the knees, let the arms open out to the side. And if you're happy to, keep the arms wide as you lengthen the legs, and then like an aeroplane, we're going up and over to that right side. Beautiful. The centre, up and over to the opposite side. So we won't push into the hips here, we'll keep our weight grounded, we'll keep ourselves equally between both feet. As we come into the centre, just allow those elbows to bend for me, and we're just going to allow the fingertips to reach on up, and then we'll draw the elbows back as the shoulders glide down the back, keeping the rib cage really nicely fixed in place, so the rib cage isn't popping forwards, the tailbone isn't popping back. We're keeping that nice sense of length through the spine, and the back of the head is lengthening back and up. One more there. And let's allow those arms to release down, rolling down through the spine, coming down bit by bit, piece by piece. Breathing out as we roll up through the spine. Lifting the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, both arms float forwards and up. The arms float back down, bending through the knees, let the arms open out to the side. Lengthening the legs, keep the arms wide like an aeroplane. We come up and over to the right side. Through the centre, up and over to the second side. Good. Once again on each side. So again, we're just keeping our feet grounded, and we're making sure we're not pushing through the hip. So as we come up to the centre this time, we'll bring the arms up, we'll push the hands up, and then just pull the elbows back, so really gliding those shoulders down the back. Good, one more like that. And hold it for me now. Now, we are going to explore that little push of the pelvis, but we're going to intentionally do it. So we'll push the pelvis to the right, just take your weight all the way onto that right foot, and then come back to the centre. And then we'll push to the left. Try and keep your rib cage right above your feet, and then draw back in. One more on each side. Yeah, if you want to have your hands on your hips, it's fine. Yeah, if they've had enough. And coming back to the centre. Good. Cutting the space for me there. Allow the fingertips to come in towards one another. Let those shoulders glide down the back. Take a breath and let the arms open out to the side. Breathing in as we draw the arms back in together. And again, keeping that going for me. So we're opening the arms out, shoulders gliding together, drawing the fingertips back in towards one another. And we've got that little bit of softness through the knees. Let's think about finding that little connection through the arches of the feet, and allowing ourselves to draw in through the belly button, shoulders gliding down the back. Let's have a look at the range of movement here. So this right hand is going to circle around and above the head, and then coming back, changing over to the other side, circle around and above the head, and come on back, again on each side. Press the hands away from us. We'll take 3 little circles. We've got 3, 2, 1, change in the direction, 3, 2, 1, change direction, 3, 2, 1, change direction, 3, 2, 1, releasing the arms, give them a little shake out. Taking a nice deep breath from there, we'll explore a little bit of balance work. So let's allow ourselves to just think about lifting the heels off the floor and then floating them back down again. So we'll do that a few times, and you might find that gradually you can lift a little bit higher, allowing those heels to lift a little bit more away from the floor with a little press in the big toe. Marvellous. The Pilates, the more of a challenge it is for you, which is all rather marvellous. And don't worry if you wobble, because it's all good practice. I'm not going to worry if I wobble. And it, you know, it certainly does happen, as you've all witnessed before. Marvellous. Let's allow ourselves to bring our weight right into the centre of those 2 feet once again, and we'll allow that right foot to lift away from the floor. Floating that foot down, and we're changing over to the other side. Good. And again, let's allow that right leg to lift. Should we let the knee open out to the side this time, keeping the pelvis nice and stable and still. Drawing that leg back in and floating down. Gorgeous. Good. Change over to the other side. And the knee opens out to the side. Drawing the leg back in. Lovely. Let's allow the right leg to open out to the side this time. So we're going to push through the outside of the leg, and we'll draw the leg back in. Lovely. Let's take 3 more like that. So we'll push out to the side, draw back in. And if you want to, you can just draw the leg in between. So you're just keeping the leg balanced. Over to the other leg, so pressing that left leg away from us, push the leg away, and we can either come in and give ourselves a little moment on both feet, or if you want to, adding in that little knee lift. Lovely. Allow that right leg then this time to go behind us. So we'll stretch the leg behind, and then we'll draw the leg back in. Let's do 2 more like that, and then we'll keep that going. We've got a little squeeze in the bottom, so it's not shooting out to the side, it's going directly behind us. And then we'll allow ourselves to go have a little bend through the knee and a little hinge in the torso, and draw yourself back in. And then if you feel you want to, we'll bend in through the knee, lower down. As you come back up, bring that support, that floating leg in. And again, stretching away. Leg in. If you want to add some arms, they lift on up. Draw the arms back. Get those shoulders to really glide down the back as you stretch through the little finger. Last one. Over to the other leg. Good. Let's take 3, just stretching the leg away from us then. Stretch that leg away. Little squeeze in the bottom and draw the leg in. Oh, not very good on that side. Hold on, I'm going to go this way instead. So we'll stretch the leg away, squeeze in through the bottom, drawing the leg in. Last one there. And then if we can, we'll add the little torso lean. It doesn't have to be very far. It might just be a tiny bit so that the toe lifts a little higher away from the floor. And if you want to keep the toe touching the floor, that's absolutely fine. Finding that place, that balanced place where you feel as though you're challenging yourself. And throughout this session, we'll be looking to find that. We'll be looking to find that challenge point just before struggle. Let's bring that knee up and in if we can do. So we can float the toe back to the floor if we want to. Otherwise, we're going to add that little float so the foot doesn't float back down. Let's allow the arms to lift, drawing the leg back. Shoulders glide together, little fingers squeeze together. And we lift. Away, woo. Fingers glide together. I did say I wouldn't be embarrassed if I wobbled, didn't I? And stretching away. From there, just take that leg back behind you, ease into a calf stretch. Woo. That's it, lovely. Good. Hips to point in front of us. So pointing directly forwards. Nice connection through the tummy. Nice little bend in through that front knee. To the other side. Easing that heel down. Fabulous, good. So a few of you then I saw went from you pushed the leg back and then you brought the hip back forwards, and that will give you a really nice stretch into the calf. Lovely. The feet back together and we'll take a little roll down through the spine. Nice deep breath, breathe it out as we roll gently down through the spine. When we get to the bottom, just take a little crouch for me, bring the hands to the floor, just allow your weight to gently shift forwards over the feet, and then allow yourself to roll back up through the spine. We are going to come to the floor, so if you're adjusting your cameras, that's fine. I'm just going to be able to only see your feet for a moment, that's okay. Nice deep breath, breathing out. Let's roll down through the spine. We'll walk the hands gently forwards once again. This time, see if you can transfer your weight all the way onto your hands. So you're on sort of knees just hovering, just transferring the weight into the hands and then back into the feet. So we're just exploring that transfer from the floor to the standing position. Nice deep breath there. Rolling down through the spine. Walking the hands gently forwards. This time, let's see if we can take ourselves all the way out to a plank position. It's fleeting. We're going to draw ourselves back in and roll up through the spine. Top. And again, breathing out, rolling down through the spine. How's that looking? How's that feeling, guys? Walking all the way out to that push-up position. And if anybody's feeling really adventurous, just stretch your arm forwards when you get there, hips stay level, and then drawing the arm back in, walking the hands back in. Remember which hand you did. Relaxing the head as you roll up through the spine. Good, we're going to keep that going for a little bit longer. So notice that I'm gradually adding more to this. If it's enough for you to come to the crouch position, take a little rock there, that's wonderful. If you'd rather stick to just rolling up and down through the spine and not bringing your weight onto the floor just yet, that's fine as well. Some of us find it difficult to get to the floor. And it's a once in the class procedure, and that's fine. Once more rolling down through the spine. This time we'll hold it down there. So those of us that are down there, stay down there. We're going to come into this plank position if we can. Now, we've got options once we get here. Let's first of all find a really good posture. We'll let the shoulders glide down the back, we'll let the head extend out and away. If you're starting to shake once you're in this position, we lower the knees and we allow the feet to release. Otherwise, you've still got the knees lifted. Tailbone stretching away from your shoulders are gliding down the back, the head is extending out and away. If you're shaking in this position, you bring your weight back and allow the hands to walk in a little bit more. Everybody in the room is scooping their tummy upwards. So we've all got a sense of real strong connection through the tummy. Head's extending out and away and the shoulders are gliding down the back. One more breath for me there, guys. Lowering the knees if you've got them lifted and walk the hands back in. Sit back onto your heels, lengthen the arms. Beautiful. Oh, that was a cheeky little plank thrown in there, wasn't it? So we'll take a deep breath. Let's take a little side stretch from there. So we'll allow the hands to just gently walk over to the right side and we'll allow the left arm to reach across us. Walking the hands over to the opposite side. Reach the right arm across us. Push into the right hip. Walking the hands in from there, we're going to just allow ourselves to come up to a kneeling position. Lovely. So we're allowing ourselves to just sit back onto our feet here. Some of us, I know, find this really hard. You've got 3 breaths here, so keep breathing for me and see if you can allow yourself to really be lengthened through the spine. I know it's hard to breathe and your hip flexors are screaming at you, your thighs are screaming at you and your back's screaming at you, and I know that, and you're doing really well. Others of us are like, stay all day, don't know what you're talking about, and that's marvellous too. So we're taking a nice deep breath. Those of us that can't cope any longer, come up high. Those of us that are happy sat down, stay as you are. It's a marvellous thing. I'm going to show you from the front. We're doing our spine twists. So we've got our pelvis nice and still. We're drawing the hands in together. Some of us hate being on our knees. Our knees do not like it, in which case come to a seated position instead. Shoulders softening down the back. Yes, lovely. The ribcage gently rotates around to the right side. Good. We breathe in as we return back to the centre. And we rotate round to the opposite side. Breathing in as we return back to the centre. Good, keep that going for me. So the beauty of this position, the kneeling position, either sat or upright, is that your spine finds it easy to lengthen. Or we find that our spine will lengthen. Some of us get this kind of lean forward thing going on, and that's going to be really hard to spiral from here. So just take a moment to check that your tailbone's really descending down for you as you're lengthening up through the rest of the head. And that's if you're in a seated position as well. A little bit of work for our hip flexors. So once we've worked on the second side, we're going to come to kneeling. We're going to allow the right leg to stretch in front, to step in front of us. Right leg steps forwards. Now some of us find that this causes a little bit of discomfort on this bottom knee. If you want to pop a cushion underneath your knee, now's your chance to. So we breathe nice and deeply. From here, just a little tip forwards and back through the pelvis. A little tip gently forwards, gently back. From there, just working a little bit of openness through the chest. So the right hand is going to come across us and we're going to open the arm gently out. And then again, coming across the body and opening out. This always just reminds me of putting my seatbelt on. Yeah, so it comes right into our hip where we would be putting our seatbelt on. Or, if you will, you're a knight and you've got your sword. So you're about to hold your sword up high, and I don't quite know, that's as far as I go with knights. I'm always the princess, what can I say? Last one. Beautiful. Now from here, this right foot is going to turn out, and then the heel's going to turn out, and then the toe's going to turn out. So we've got a nice diagonal across the legs. We're going to allow ourselves to ease onto that diagonal. If that is not happening for you, take the legs wide or go with your diamond position. Just get a nice opening stretch through the hip. The left arm opens out to the back of the room, and it comes up and over the head. That's it, beautiful. That's it, Irene, nice, good. Then coming back, and we'll change to the other side. So we'll allow ourselves to change legs, and we're going to take a little tip forwards and back. Good. So you're tipping forwards and back. So if you're in a seated position, I've got a few that have chosen seated position, you're taking a little tip forwards and back, and we're going to get a nice bit of work into the pelvis there. Same, we're going to look for that pelvic tilt. Back to the centre, we've switched sides in our car, we're going to switch on our seat belt and then draw it back to the diagonal. And again, coming into our waistline and opening out. Sorry, it's nowhere near your waistline at all. And coming across and opening out. Back. Nice and strong through the tummy, so we're really supporting the back in this rotation. We'll take the foot out to the side, heel out to the side, toe out to the side, and extend up and over. Yes, that's it, Irene, nice, good. And then that right arm's going to open out to the back of the room and come up and over. So we get that nice side bend, up and over like a rainbow, and we're allowing ourselves to be really nice and open through the hip there. Beautiful. Bringing ourselves back down. Lovely. Now, we're going to allow ourselves to come, if you've got a mat, be near the front of your mat, so you've got the length of the mat behind you. And we'll take some nice lower back mobility work with a bit of core strength at the same time. So the hands come around the backs of the thighs. We'll allow the shoulders to glide down the back, and you're going to lengthen really tall through the spine. And as you lengthen, you've got that nice sense of connection through the tummy. We take a deep breath, we're going to tip the tailbone under, squeezing in through the belly, and we'll curve into the lower back. And then we breathe in as we lengthen up nice and tall. Tipping the tailbone under, curving through the lower back. Keep that going for me. And again, if there's anything that you do that you think, oh, I'm not sure about that. Hi, Marie. Morning, Helen. If there's anything that doesn't feel quite right, then you just ease yourself off from it and make it smaller. We're looking for that challenge place, so let's allow ourselves to lengthen the arms out in front of us, and we'll find that place just before we get that shuddering in the tummy, just before we get any doming in the tummy, and before those feet lose contact with the floor. Really open up through the torso here, so we'll lift the arms for the sky as we come up to sitting, and then we'll tuck the tailbone under and curve into the lower back. Get those shoulders to glide down the back. Lift on up and come on down. More, and seeing if you can find that challenge place. So it's just before your struggle, just before the shudder. You're going to hold down in that place just before the struggle, in that challenge place. Let's get those shoulders gliding down the back. Let's bring the hands together. We're going to slide the arm open to the side. That's it, like a bow and arrow. Draw the arms back in front of you, bow and arrow to the opposite side. One more on each side. Woo, I'm starting to feel the challenge now. And if you're thinking, I felt the challenge 2 minutes ago, Emma, what are you talking about? That's fine, just come on down. And bring yourself gently down. If you're thinking, I'm going to need to use hands there, Emma, that's fine. You bring your hands down, support yourself, or support yourself on the legs, it's fine. And we're there, and we're lengthening the legs away. Take a moment to in fact, give the pelvis a little jiggle. Feels amazing. And you're in the comfort of your own home, so that's all marvellous. Just jiggle the pelvis. And as you jiggle the pelvis, the legs can kind of jiggle. Other things might jiggle, and that's all good. Let the breath go. Lovely. So I find a nice neutral position here. Let's allow the feet to come onto the floor. And we'll allow the feet to be just hip distance apart. And the knees can be bent. So the pelvis is resting down onto the floor, and we'll allow ourselves to gently tip the pelvis. So let's allow ourselves to let the lower back push into the floor. We'll tip the pelvis in the opposite direction, and we'll exaggerate the curve in the lower back. Now, keep that going for me. And as I said at the beginning, just notice whether in either of those extremes you're a bit, that bit feels a bit funny. Just be really mindful of that, because this is quite good for identifying those areas. Notice for me where you switch the tummy in, how you connect in through the belly. Let's see if we can keep that little squeeze in the belly as we allow ourselves to find that place where hip bone and pubic bone are level with one another. Let's allow the arms to lengthen up towards the sky. As the arms lengthen up towards the sky, let the rib cage rest down into the floor. Let the shoulders melt down into the ground, and feel that you've got that nice sense of connection through the belly button. The right arm's going to extend up and over the head, and then we're going to draw the arm back to that start position. Left arm extends over the head, and draw the arm back to the start position. As the right arm goes over the head, let's allow the left arm to go towards your side, so going down and then coming back to that centre place, changing over. As you do, just really take this opportunity to get those shoulder blades to push down into the ground, or at least, feel a sense of connection into the ground. As you lengthen the left arm over the head, you're going to allow the opposite leg to slide away. So as the arm goes over the head, the opposite leg stretches away from you. Gosh, that was really hard for me to work out how I was going to say that. Let's allow the leg to stretch away from the arm that's reaching over the head. Now, we've got this nice sense of connection through the core, and a nice sense of the shoulders gliding down the back. I love the image that I'm in soft sand, and I'm trying to keep my shoulder blades to connect into the sand. I'm trying to let my rib cage stay connected where it is connected, and I'm trying to keep that natural curve in the lower back. Those arms to come back by our sides, but we'll keep those shoulders sinking down into the ground, and rib cage nice and soft. Lovely. Nice deep breath. We'll allow the right foot to lift just an inch away from the floor, and then float that foot back down, and we'll change over to the opposite foot. Just do 2 more on each side, noticing whether as you lift the leg anything changes in the torso. So it might be that the hips tip from side to side. Your rib cage might pop upwards. We'll see if we can keep the rib cage nice and stable and still. Keep the pelvis stable and still. So this time we'll allow that right knee to lift, to hover above the hip socket, bringing the calf to a 90-degree angle. We've got that nice connection through the tummy. We're going to take some little knee circles, and we'll take 3 in one direction and 3 in the other direction. So challenge is keeping the hips nice and still. Length across the back of the neck. Changing direction when you've done 3 on that side. for me there. You've got the right leg lifted. Let's see if we can open up the angle of the knee a little. Good. Without it affecting your lower back, so you've still got neutral spine. Once again, we'll circle that leg. 3 in one direction. 3 in the opposite direction. Keep the angle of the knee just as it is. You're going to allow that leg to start to lower towards the floor. So the thigh starts to lower down. And then when the foot touches the ground, we'll allow the leg to come back up again. Allow that thigh bone to start to lower towards the floor. Notice for me, it's a bit more of a challenge than when we have our leg in that 90-degree angle. So if you're thinking, this is starting to pull my back, then bend the knee back to that 45-degree angle. We've got just 2 more here. Nice connection through the tummy, rib cage is staying down. Last one there. And floating that foot down, let's change over to the other side. Neutral spine, left knee lifts. And we've got that 90-degree angle in the knee. Take a deep breath for me and you're gently stirring that left thigh bone within the hip socket. Breathing out for half the circle, breathing in to complete the circle. Keep that going for me. And when we've done 3 in both directions and we've still got that neutral spine, we'll just allow that leg to lengthen slightly. So we'll see how lengthened we can make that leg before we lose neutral. And once again, we're taking 3 circles there. 3. And strong through the core, rib cage is sinking down. And then change in the direction of that circle. 3. Now with that leg at the length that it is, we're going to allow the leg to start to lower towards the floor, and it's the thigh bone that's dipping down. And then we draw the leg back up. And again we dip the toe down. Beautiful. Now think about the thigh bone doing all the work, and the foot is just a consequence of that. Bring that left knee in and give it a good hug. Right leg to slide away from us to really release into the hip there. Nice. Just allow this left knee to just tip across us and out to the side. Come across and out to the side. Just a few more like that. Gently across. And then releasing, draw that right leg in and allow the left leg to slide away from us. Press into the floor, left leg stretches away. Take a nice deep breath and allow that knee to come across and out to the side. Keep that going for me. There are 2 ways that I like to lead us into our 2-legged tundra position. One is coming from 1-legged tundra position into 2-legged 100, and the other one is from a knee hug. So we're going to have a little explore of our knee hug version today. If you know that 1-leg version is better for you, then that's what we'll do. Let's draw both the knees in and we'll give them both a good hug. So we've got the back pressing into the floor here. And we've got a really good squeeze in the tummy, and that squeeze in the tummy is going to help us hug those knees in. I want you to keep that squeeze in the tummy, keep that connection in place, and just allow the arms to release down by the sides, and hopefully the legs will stay where they are. Lovely. So we've got the back pressing into the floor. We've got that imprinted spine. And we're going to allow these legs to come out to a point where they're going to create more challenge for the abdomen. So as the legs start to stretch out and away, we're going to see if we can allow the legs to get maybe to the point where the knees are hovering over the hip socket and the calf is at a 90-degree angle. Now, if at any point you're pushing the legs out and you think, oh, that's the challenge point, there I've got, my tummy's going to start to think about pushing out, then you draw the legs back in just a smidge, so you're challenging yourself but without putting strain on the back. Beautiful. Now, this is a static stretch, which is why I'm now talking at you. So we're squeezing through the tummy, you've got the squeeze in place. If you're thinking this is too much for me, you work with one leg lifted instead of two, and we're in neutral spine. We're all breathing. Shoulders are gliding into the ground, and the breath is coming and going nice and gently. Take a deep breath for me, and as you breathe out, you're going to stretch the right leg away from you. Going to breathe in as the leg returns. Now if you're working with one leg lifted, do 5 on that right side, then change sides. If you're working with 2 legs lifted, changing legs each time. So we'll explore how low we can take that leg as it stretches away from us. Keeping that sense of connection in through the tummy. Add breathing, make sure it's still happening, making sure we're breathing out and breathing in. I'm going to suggest that we breathe out as we stretch the leg away from us, and we breathe in as we draw the leg back in. It's not the end of the world if you're doing it in the opposite direction. Just make sure the tummy is pulling inward. 5 on each side, bring the knees in towards the chest and give them a good hug. Allow the right foot to rest down onto the floor, and we're going to allow the left foot to come down onto the floor. Hands are resting by our sides. Now I want to just find a little bit of energy through the abdomen and through the shoulders at the same time. So we're going to think about taking a little abdominal curl up. So we'll take a nice deep breath. We're going to squeeze in through the tummy. We're going to breathe out. We're going to slide the hands towards the feet. Let them lift an inch away from the floor and then float back down. Nice deep breath, breathing out. Shoulders glide down the back, fingers stretch towards the toes, and then floating back down. Now I want you to imagine you've got a tennis ball between your chin and your chest, and you're going to keep that tennis ball in place. So you're not keeping your eyes up to the sky, neither are you tucking your chin towards your chest, so you're really squidging there. This tummy is scooping down. And now, just for funsies, imagine that underneath your hand is a little tennis ball, and we're going to take a little bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll lower back down. Again, slide the fingers towards the toes, shoulders glide down, 5 bounces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sliding back down. 2 more like that, shoulders glide down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and floating down. And last one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, beautiful. Bring the right knee and give it a hug around the back of the thigh. Take a deep breath, let's see if we can allow that leg to stretch up towards the sky. And see if we can breathe into those that stretch. Let the shoulders melt down into the ground. Let the head relax onto the floor, and we'll gently roll the head from side to side. Bring the head into the centre. Taking a nice deep breath, and we'll see if we can allow that leg to ease a little bit closer towards the chest. Taking a nice deep breath, and then that leg can just come a little bit across the midline of the body. Gently out to the side. Across the midline of the body. And then gently out to the side. Foot across the left knee, let the right knee fall open to the side, weaving the hands around that left thigh and ease that leg in close to you. Change over to the other leg. So allowing that left leg tugging around the back of the thigh, give it a little hug, a little release, and then stretching that leg up for the sky. So I know some of us have trouble reaching the leg, in which case we can wrap a band around the foot and hold on to the ends if that feels better. And that it's easier to do this stretch on one side than the other. And that's okay. We just need to work towards symmetry, so work towards allowing that other leg or to stretch to the same extent as the opposite one. So we've got a nice connection through the tummy. Let's see if we can allow that leg to come slightly across the midline of the body and then drawing out to the side. Across the midline of the body. Out to the side. Just one more like that. Left foot across the right knee, let the left knee fall open to the side, weaving the hands around that right thigh and bringing the legs in nice and close. Releasing the legs there. Letting the arms rest down by our sides. We'll allow ourselves to come into a little shoulder bridge. And let's start off by working for that nice flexibility through the spine. So we've got the feet resting onto the floor and we'll take a little pelvic tilt. When we take that pelvic tilt, we'll return back to our neutral spine position. Let's see if we can gradually increase the size of this movement now. And as we do, start to register any little sticky parts of the spine, any areas that need a little bit of extra space or a little bit of extra time. Until knees, hips and shoulders come into line with one another. When we get there, we'll take a nice deep breath and we'll breathe out as we replace the vertebrae back down one by one. Get to the top. If you want to add the arms in, we can do. We can allow those arms to lift up towards the sky. They may want to go all the way over the head. Notice that if they go all the way over the head, as you draw the vertebrae back down, it's going to magnify those sticky bits that don't like to move independently. Come back to neutral. Let the arms come back by your side. Feeling that those shoulders are really working down the back as you do. Good. And again, curling gently up. Towards the sky or maybe over the head. And then we'll float those vertebrae back down. Now, if you want to, we can add that little abdominal curl up. Remember your tennis balls. You could take a little pulse, 5 little pulses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then float back down and continue into that shoulder bridge. Rolling up through the spine. That looks gorgeous. Good. Now, when we get to that position, if you want to take some little foot lifts, we can do. One foot may lift away from the floor, and then the other foot may, that foot will float down, and then the other foot may lift away from the floor. Then we'll add the arms in. As you add those little foot lifts, do make them small just to start off with, and start to notice where the challenge is, how hard or how easy you find it to keep the pelvis nice and still. So we're making sure the pelvis doesn't tip from side to side. Little pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. to, when you roll up through the spine, when you feel ready to, and you've got stillness in the pelvis, we'll allow that leg to lift all the way up for the sky. And then floating back down, changing over to the opposite side. Over the head. Vertebrae back down one by one. Come back by our sides. Take a little abdominal curl up, those 5 little pulses if you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And softening down. Good. One more on each side. Rolling up, and one more foot lift on each side. So we can allow the foot to lift away, extend up for the sky. And this is all about controlling this from the glutes. Using our core strength to really stabilise us. If there's pinching in the back, I would suggest we don't want to do the leg lifts at the moment. We want to just focus in on little bottom squeezes when we get to the top. Let's allow this one to be our last one. As we take those 5 little pulses, we'll then allow ourselves to curl all the way up to sitting. Maybe we'll hold on to the thighs to bring ourselves up to sitting. Maybe we'll allow ourselves to come onto one side and bring ourselves up. Lovely. Once you're there, feet come together, knees go wide, and we'll gently ease ourselves over the legs. Lifting nice and tall, allow the legs to go wide. Take a nice deep breath up and over like an archway. And lifting up and over to the opposite side. Good. Keep that going for me, making sure both sides of the pelvis stay really grounded, so there's no daylight under either butt cheek. The centre, little ease gently forwards if that feels good. Down through the shoulders. Yeah, beautiful. Don't be despondent if there's not much of a hinge. That's okay. I'm sure you're getting a good stretch along the inner thighs, and that's all right. That's marvellous. And releasing there. Spin the legs around. We're going to tuck the toes under, come into a crouch position, and maybe just take a little forwards and back. Allow those heels to press into the ground. Let the head be nice and heavy. And then we'll allow ourselves to roll up through the spine. Nice squeeze in the tummy. Shoulders melt down the back. Head is the last thing to come on top. When you get there, feeling that the feet can sink nicely down into the ground, the tailbone descends down. We've got that sense of connection through the tummy, lengthening really nice and tall through the spine. Take a deep breath, reaching really tall. Breathing out and we'll let it all go. Give it a good shake out. Give yourselves a round of applause. Well done, guys.